Hi Nabil, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Me too, good.
Great.
All right. So Nabil, the other day we had a first session on our
The
WCS,
WCS.
and yeah. So did you go get a chance to go through the topics that we discussed yesterday?
Yes, I went through it and watched the lecture. It was interesting.
Okay. So any queries that you have regarding it?
No, it was straightforward.
Okay. All right. Then we'll get started uh, with looking into the development environment, the installation, and all this stuff. Okay.
All right.
So I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'll give you a walkthrough of after you install your SPO Commerce, how does the folder structure look like, what's the workspace, what are things of our interest, and then I'll also start the RAD. So that's the icon of SPO Commerce, you know,
Mm-hmm.
application. So just start that. Meanwhile, I'll take you through the folder structure. So normally it gets installed into your C drive. You can also install in D drive, and it installs with a folder called IBM, as you can see here, under which you have WCD ENT. So the copy of WCS that I have with me is an enterprise version. So that is where you see ENT. For Express it would be EXP, Professional it would be PROF. So based on what version you have, that corresponding folder name would be. So you can recognize from the folder name what version of um, commerce server you have. Now inside this you have a lot of folders, and this is the workspace folder where all your projects are, right? So if I open this, you can see some pre-defined projects are here, right? So these are the projects which have your actual code. So I told you yesterday the entire application is already built up. So the code for the application and the different tools that WebSphere Commerce provide, they're all here. So when our workspace starts, you can see these projects over there as well. And there are a couple of other projects for other features as well. For example, the bin folder here is another very important folder. Inside this, you can see a lot of batch files are there. Now these batch files are for various tools that WCS provide. Right? For example, you have the data load tool, which allows you to load data into your database. You have your create DB tool, the batch file, which it is create DB Oracle. So you want to set up your database on Oracle, then you need to run this batch file. You want to disable some of the features, you have disable feature. You want to enable some feature, you have enable feature, and so on. So a lot of them are here, right? For different features which you might probably use sometime later. And you also have this batch file to start your application. So in case somehow your shortcut on the desktop gets deleted, you can always come here and start the toolkit from this particular icon. And you can also start your server and stop the server from here, right? So that's another important folder. Then you have the logs folder here. So whatever tool that you run, right? So these tools that are there, when you run them, they also generate some logs which are stored in this logs folder. So you can just give me a second. Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
Sorry, actually I got a call from, sorry, actually I got a call from Tek Tree itself, so I had to take it. All
Okay.
right.
So Deepak,
Yeah.
Deepak, did you go
Mhm.
through the installation processes as well?
Installation process? No, no, no. We did not go through the
Okay.
installation process.
Okay.
So installation process is a different, activity itself. So we did not go into it. Maybe once you have the setup copy, right? Then probably I'll guide you through that. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right now, there's no point in discussing that because because I cannot do the installation right now because for me it's already installed, right? So once you do it for you, probably I can, guide you through that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So the logs folder, you have all the logs and everything here, and then the workspace and others are further. So probably when we go through and we come across different sections, we'll look into some of other folders. Right. Samples is here where you have some of the sample code for your practice or for your reference. For example, say you want to create some JSPs, so there are some sample JSPs that uh, WCS has already provided, so you can refer to the coding standards, how can you customize some of the stuff, so things like that. So you can refer that as well in case you want. We'll go back. We went a little extra back. All right. And then you have another, file here called hints and tips, right? Now this hints and tips is very important because let me just open that. Now why this is important is because when you install, I told you there are a lot of tools that WCS provides. Now those tools that are there, you don't have links for them. In case you want to access, you don't have a way of accessing them. So it provides your URLs which you can use to access the different tools. For example, there is a tool called websphere Commerce Accelerator. You have a tool called Admin Console. You have a tool called Organization Admin Console. Yes, all these tools, different tools for different things that you can do. For example, the Management Center tool here is used for setting up your promotions, catalog, categories, products, etc. The Accelerator tool here helps you to customize some of the features of the store. For example, you can set up your shipping, billing charges, the shipping charges or taxes that should be applied, or you can even use Accelerator to create new stores. So I discussed that you can create multiple stores on the same copy of websphere Commerce. So you can use Accelerator to create multiple stores as well, Admin Console to configure some of the administrative properties of the tool, and so on. So we'll go through these tools as well as we go forward with our session. And then here you have some of your starter stores. And here you have some of your starter stores. Now these starter stores are nothing but sample stores. Like WCS has provided all the tools, but then how do you know what are the features that it provides? Even if you create your new stores, you need to have some reference point, isn't it? So WCS has created some starter stores, which are nothing but some sample stores, which you can go through to see what are features are present in websphere Commerce, how things work, so that you get a fair idea about the tool. And later on, when you are creating a new store and you want to have similar features, you get a reference point or sample code to refer to when you want to customize things. So these are certain sample stores, out of which the medicine store is B2C extended size model based store. So we'll be using medicine sample store to look into different features of SPO Commerce and customize things. Right? You can install any of these starter stores, not an issue. But medicines is a B2C business model based store. Elite is a B2B kind of store. These are supply chain, demand chain, so other B2B direct, indirect features that we discussed. Right. So we'll be using medicine store as the sample store, and then you have two other tools, database access JSP, in case you want to run small queries on your database. So you can use this tool to access data from your database. However, if you are using Oracle, you can also install SQL Developer or other tools which allow you to access the database. But then WCS has provided a tool of their own as well. And then you have query template, file syntax validator. So later on we'll be looking into one of the feature of WebSphere Commerce called BOD. So this tool basically allows you to test BOD to see if it's working fine or not. And here there is little detail about the workspace. So you have these 9 projects as part of standard WebSphere Commerce installation, right? And as you can see from the name, Commerce Accelerator, this is the project which relates to this particular tool, Commerce Accelerator, right? So all the code for this tool is present within it. So in case, even if you want to customize the tool, you can do that because you have the code. Similarly for org admin, another tool, site administration, another tool. Stores is your web project, right? So since the JSPs, JS files, JavaScript files, CSS files, all those are part of the web application. So stores is your actual web application where you'll have all the presentation related logic. So the JSPs, JavaScript, CSS all would be inside this. WC is your ER project. So all these different projects, right? All these projects are bundled into one package, which is the WCER. So when you deploy it, you don't have to deploy all these projects separately. You only deploy this WC project and all of them get deployed together. So WC is, you can say, a bundle project which allows you to package everything together. Web Service Router is a project where you can create web services. So it's not like you cannot create web services in any of these, but then it has separated the project based on functionalities, right? So that it is easy to refer and to maintain. So this is for your web services. Web Service Commerce Server Extension Data. So this is your project to access data from the database. So all your EJBs, access bean, all those code which are going to interact with your database, all of them are placed inside this project. And then you have a project called WebSphere Commerce Server Extension Logic. So as the name says logic, that means all your business logic, right? Your controller command, task command, Java classes, interfaces, everything you'll be creating inside this. And finally, you have another project called LOB tools. So this corresponds to the tool management center. Okay, so these are the 9 projects that are part of your WebSphere Commerce standard installation. Now, that's how your toolkit looks like, right? Almost similar to Eclipse because RAD, which is the tool that IBM provides for WebSphere Commerce, is nothing but a tool built out of your Eclipse, right? So if you go here and look at the About Rational Application Developer, so you see, it's using the Eclipse framework. So it's built on top of Eclipse. So this product is powered by Eclipse. So everything that you have in Eclipse are also here, and even it looks like Eclipse itself. The server, the console, everything. So you should not find it any different than how you have been writing your Java projects or Java code in Eclipse. Even the projects and all, you can see they are here, right? All these projects, right? So you can go and start editing the code, modifying things here. Any doubts, question?
No.
All right. So let's go ahead with looking into different things. So first, what I'll do, I'll just start the server and give you an idea of how your sample store looks like, right? And then we'll try to change few things here and there, and we'll try to get a feel of what the application is like. So starting the server, it will take a while. Meanwhile, I'll give you a high-level idea of how do we write the code. So I told you WCS is also built out of strs framework. So obviously you have strs config file. So you have the strs config file. But if you see, if I search strs config, you have so many strs config. See, the list goes on, isn't it? Now, out of this, these are strs config for different projects. For example, this one is for Commerce Accelerator, this for Organization Admin, etc. But the one which is of our concern is the one that belongs to the stores project, because stores is our actual web project, right? So the strs config of our interest is of the project called stores. So you should not modify anything in the other projects. So even for stores project, if you see, you have stars config ext.xml, you have stars config gift center, then you have stars config migrate, stars config.xml. So many are there. Now which is the XML file that I need to modify, right? So out of these are all being used by your stars, because there is an option that you can configure more than one XML files in your stars framework. Okay, so it's not that you can create only one file. You can create multiple files. There is an option to do it. So here they have configured multiple files, and out of all these, the one which says stars config ext.xml is of our interest. All right. So any new controller command or action that you're going to create, you will make entry inside only stars config ext that belongs to the stores project, not anywhere else. Otherwise, you'll be in problem. Okay. Now, and if you look at the web.xml file for this, just open the web.xml so that we can see the action servlet entry over there. So web content. Alright, so these are your config file, and you have the web.xml here. I'll just open that. Okay, so you see here the stores request servlet, and that's the action servlet. So this is the action servlet, which is corresponding to your stars action servlet that we used to enter inside the web.xml. But you see the name is little different. Instead of being action servlet, it's EC action servlet, because IBM has customized this a little bit according to its requirement. So that is why even the path you see, it's coming from com IBM commerce start EC action servlet. Normally it should come from org Apache group, right? But instead of that, IBM has customized it as per its requirement, and it has given its name as EC action servlet. But the framework remains the same. Some features it has added apart from it. For example, yesterday we saw in the stars config XML we could add those additional parameters for making your URLs HTTPS authenticated and all those stuff, right? To support all these things, you have to customize the basic framework. So they have customized it a little bit as per the requirement. And you see this init param here. These are the XML file entries, right? So if you want, you can configure multiple stars config XMLs by making an entry here like this. Okay, so you have the stars config ext here. So whatever changes that you are going to make, you must make into this, not into any other file. Clear?
Question, Deepak.
Yeah.
So in our stars, we were returning like an I said in our stars and previous clips, we were returning.
There is distortion from somebody's mic. I don't know who's.
Let me mute myself.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we were returning JSP file, and here we are returning a XML file.
No. This is not what we are returning. This is web.xml. You got confused.
Okay. I got confused. Yeah. Even in webcam, even in okay, that's not starts. Okay, I got that now. Okay.
So web.xml, if you remember, we made an entry for our action servlet. Do you want me to open the stars?
No. I remember now.
Okay, and the stars config is here. It's just next tab here.
Okay.
So this is the one. So here, if I go to the source, so here is same. So if you see the action entries.
Okay, clear now.
Yeah. So here you have JSPC. JSPs are being written.
Okay.
So these are two. I was just showing you web.xml to give you an idea that how the action servlet is configured and the XML files are mapped.
Right.
Okay.
I get it.
Now apart from this, there is one very important file as well, which is kind of master configuration for entire application, which is WCS server.xml. Right, so this is like a master configuration for your entire application, and as you can see here, the very first entry that you have is for the database. So what's your database, what's the username, what's the password, right, where your database is located, and then you have entry for your data source. So this data source helps you in doing a proper JNDI mapping for all your EJBs. So you have those entries here, and then you have a couple of other entries for different features of websphere commerce, right? So you have entry for your applications as well. So admin console, the store project. So where the code for them is there. So this is like a kind of master configuration. So you can change some of the features if you don't want to support by coming here. Normally we should not change anything, because you do something wrong here, your entire application stops working. So unless you know what you are doing, you should not touch this. But then, yeah, it is important to know, because later on when we will be creating EJBs, we'll need this data source name. Okay, so that's another important thing. Now I think the server is still starting. All right. So any confusion on the framework that we are using here?
Clear.
Perfect. So now to create, we'll start with creating a JSP file first, because that's the simplest, that's the presentation logic. So I'll tell you how we create a new JSP file. So the stores project here is the one which is responsible for all your presentation related logic, and I told you that Madison's project is the one where we'll be doing all our changes, because the Madison store is something which is provided by default by WCS, and we'll be referring the different features that are here, and we'll be writing our code and seeing the changes on the store itself. Now, corresponding to each and every store that you create, WCS creates a folder here in the stores project. For example, you can see for Madison's there is a folder, for Allied there is a folder, right? Commerce Plaza there is a folder, So there is folder for all the stores that you create. And inside that you'll have the JSP file, the JavaScript file, the CSS, etc. belonging to that particular store. Okay, so when you create a store by default, when you create by default, it will assign all these JSP files. So there are a common set of JSP files based on what template you choose. Okay, so based on what template you are choosing while creating a store, it will assign all these JSP files by default to your store, and your store will be able to work normally as it should. Now later, if you don't like the look and feel that is given by the template, you can go and modify the corresponding JSP files. Okay, so for example, let us think that the Madison store starts. So once the Madison store starts, I'll show you, how we can change JSPs here, and it reflects on the store that gets created by default. Meanwhile, we'll see how can we create a new JSP. So to create a new JSP, it's very simple. Right click, new, right, web page. I mean, it's very simple. You have done it all the while, right? Select JSP and then you're done. All right, so select JSP, give a name for your JSP. For example, I can say, so let's call it sample page, okay? And then click on finish. You need to wait because the server is starting. It would be a little slow.
Maybe you don't have enough memory to.
No, actually, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things that WCS deploys, right? All those 9 projects has to be deployed. So
projects, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So it takes a lot of time to, almost 15-20 minutes takes to start the server.
Oh.
So, and also makes the application a little slow. So I think it started. Okay, so it started, right? So let us go and see how the Madison store looks like, and then we'll come back to this. So anyway, the sample JSP that we created, it was created with some dummy code. So we can delete these and write our own code if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll come to this later. Let's see the Madison store, how it looks like. So we'll go to our hints and tips JSP and then click on the Madison's link that we have here. Okay, still loading. So you can see the progress here in the console, whether something is happening or not. Still loading. So we just need to wait for a while. Right, things are just loading up. Since it's the first time, it will take a little time. So your JSP got initialized, right? Cast header display.jsp. So the header got initialized. The mini shop cart JSP got initialized. So it will initialize all the JSPs one by one. So I hope you remember the JSP's technology, right? The first time when you call, it initializes all the pages. It compiles and creates servlet out of it, and then initializes and runs it, right? So it will take a little time for that. Things are coming up slowly. Right, so you can see you have the Madison store symbol and logo, and then you can also see the categories have already come up. The search bar is here. You have the currency and the language selector box. Other contents will slowly load. Just need to wait.
So the good thing that we don't care a lot about CSS and designing the UI. Everything is designed. We just need to modify that part.
Yeah, I mean everything is already created and provided. So either you can use the sample store only, or you can write your own code. So it's very flexible because all the project is here, right? All the code that you need is already given to you. So basically, the full power is in your control.
Yeah, it's also a bit like CMS, WordPress, and Airball and stuff like this, but this is more powerful.
Yes. So CMS, you have very limited functionality, right? Because you cannot develop business logic, you cannot have database interaction, web service, all those things like that. So CMS are basically only for your content, right?
Right.
So the static content that you see on the web pages, it's only for that. So we do include CMS as well. You can integrate CMS systems along with your websphere commerce to render your static content. For example, these images, the logo, the flash, this thing. So these contents you can configure on a CMS system, and you can link your websphere commerce with that, so that the business logic would run from WCS and the content would be pulled from CMS. So even that is possible.
Right.
So that's the flexibility that websphere commerce gives you. And you don't want to do JavaScript, CSS changes. You want to use content management system. Go ahead, do all your front end over there, and you can pull data from WCS, push it to your CMS system. CMS system will use that data to represent or present it on the screen for the user.
Right.
Okay, so that's how your store looks like. Nice, isn't it?
Yes,
So
wonderful.
there's a sample store. There's a sample store, some clearance products on sale over here, some discounts, promotions. There is also free shipping going on. All purchases more than $70, right? You can subscribe to newsletter, and you can even browse the categories if you go inside any of these links. This is full-fledged working website. You can add items to the cart. You can proceed with the checkout. You can even place an order. It's completely working. You can use the same project as your production website as well. But then again, if you don't like the look and feel, you can change it. If not, you can use the same project in your live application. Right? You see? And then you can add the cart. So you can browse through these products. So I just wanted to give you an idea. Now say you want to change something which you don't like here. For example, let's go ahead and see what should we change. Say this text here, customer service, right? Say that I don't like the customer service text here in the footer. I want to change it to something else, or I want to change the look and feel, the color, or anything. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to find the JSP that is showing this text, right? Now to find the JSP, the starting point is what? How do you find the JSP that would be representing this piece of the code?
We can try to find it through the browser itself, like inspect element.
How?
We can
Inspect
inspect
element.
element.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's one way. You can do that. That's the easiest way, in fact. But then there is also a standard process to do it. That's the shortcut. Find the inspect element, and you go to your search box here, and then you do a file search, write the element name, search it, and you'll get the JSP which has the code. So that's one way. Another way is that you can look at the URL. Okay. Now the URL says category 4. Okay. So this first parameter over here is the name of the path, the path that you define in the struts config file, isn't it? Now this path, if you go and search in the struts config file, it will land you up to the JSP that is rendering this page. Correct? So you can take this, go to the struts config, search for this name. This will map to some JSP. You'll get your JSP, and then you can modify the code directly over there. So you don't have to search. But then there is a little bit of difference on how WCS creates its URL as well. So if you look at this URL, you see there are different parameters, but they're all separated by underscore. You see that? Now normally your URLs would look something like this. Say the same URL here, it would something look like category 4, question mark, some some key value pair. And right, it would look something like this, and something else equal to this. So all key value pairs, isn't it? But here, if you see, the key anyway is not there. The key name is anyway not there. Only the value are there, and those two are also separated by underscore. Now this has been done by WCS because the normal approach of creating your URLs with key value pairs is not search engine optimization friendly. It's not SEO friendly because the only actual URL that you have is still here. All these are parameters. So what search engines do is that if you have a lot of parameters in your URL, they tend to ignore the additional parameters. Generally, the search engines only take first 3 parameters. They ignore the rest. Now the rest of these parameters are also important for you to display this page. If you don't have these parameters, maybe some of the features that are there in this page might not work. So how should websphere commerce override that particular behavior? So to overcome that, what it has done is that it has modified the URL in such a manner that you don't have this key value pair, something like this. All the values are separated by underscore. Now when the search engines come to crawl the URLs, right, they'll see that there are no question mark and, right? Instead of that, there is underscore. So they won't understand that this is parameter or it is actual URL, and they will index the entire URL. Okay, so that's how all the web pages in your website are going to be different, and they're also going to get indexed, right? Otherwise, what would happen? Say these parameters got removed, right? So your actual URL that is indexed by the search engine is this. And I also told you that on a single copy of SPO Commerce, you can have multiple installation. Correct? Say you have 4 stores on the single copy. Now all of them will have the same code, same URL. So for say store A, you'll have the same URL for the category, even for store B, C, D, etc. Now, if a user wants to go to category page of say store B, and they type this URL, which store should get opened? All of them will be having the same URL, isn't it? Because the stars config file is common, your code is common, everything is common. There is no way that you can differentiate based on this URL that what store the user wants to open. Correct? So for that, it is very important that you append certain parameters to the URL which will help you identify which store the user wants to open. And these parameters that you see here belongs to that only. So the first parameter here is the store ID, the ID of the store which the user wants to open. The second parameter is the catalog ID. The catalog is like a collection of the product. So you can have multiple catalog assigned to different stores. So which catalog belongs to what store is again identified by this second parameter here. Okay. The third parameter is nothing but the category ID. So the category page that we are looking at, the third parameter is the category ID. The fourth parameter is the language ID. In what language the user wants to see the page. Okay. So right now it's United States. So if I change this to something else, say maybe Dutch, let's see what happens. So it changed to Dutch, and even you see the URL also got modified. Something else got added here. Catalog ID, store ID is here. The lang ID, the -1 thing is gone because it's no more United States, right? So those are certain important aspect that you need to note in the URL. Now, if the URL is no more the normal URL, how does your application server know it? Okay, so you can write anything in the URL, but the application server only understands key value pairs. It doesn't understand numbers. So you say 10051, how will the application server know that what that 10051 represents? Because you don't have the key name here in the URL. So for that, WCS has created another framework, and as part of that framework, you maintain a mapping of the actual URL and the URL, the SEO friendly URL that WCS provides. And to maintain that mapping, there is a file called as SEO URL mapper. Right. So if I open this file, there are certain entries like the path info mapping, and all this path info mapping are mapped to different URLs. So you have the name. So this name is what gets displayed on your store here. Okay. And let's go back. And this name here, request name, is what is there in your stars config. Okay, so the stars config entry, the path name that you have in the start config is written over here, and this is the actual name that gets displayed on the URL. And you can see the parameters here: store ID, catalog ID, lang ID, and so on. So when you have a URL which are underscore separated, something like this, right? Let's search for category 4, then we can be able to relate all of them. Say here, right? So category 4 has all these parameters, right? So I told you the first was store ID, second was catalog ID. So this is from where I looked at and told you. If you relate these two here, You can see first one is store ID, second catalog, third the category ID, fourth the language ID -1, then is parent category ID, then you have the top category ID, page view, and the begin index. Right, so you can look at this mapping file and you can know what those variables represent. Okay, why I'm telling you all this is because sometimes when you are working in your projects and you want to have some quick information about what store you're working on, what catalog you're working, what might be going wrong, not going correct. If you don't know about these things, you won't be able to understand what those parameters are. All right. So you can always map it to your WC server, the SCURL mapper, and you can know what those values represent. So accordingly, you can debug your code or issues, whatever that is coming. Okay. Now coming back to our scenario where we wanted to change the text here, customer service text. Now the JSP that is being called here, the URL, which is category display. So what I'll do, I'll take this name, go to our stars config file. The ext is what I told you. So we'll go to ext file, source, and search for it. Right? So category display view. So we need to search for category display. This is RFQ category display. This is something else. This is again something else. Okay, that's again something else. Is it running in a circle or what?
I think there is a way to choose the exact one.
Whole word maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Here, right? The category display. The path is category display. You see that? Action, parameter equal to category display command, path equal to category display, base action, credentials accepted, so and so. So now from this URL, what you can understand is that this path is not mapped to any JSP directly, but it's mapped to a controller command. Okay, that means this path is calling your controller command, and the controller command in turn is doing some stuff and then returning your JSP. Clear? So how do we know what JSP it is returning? Again, this controller command is provided by websphere commerce by default, and if I try to search for it, I don't get it. Okay, and if I search it by type, so probably it would find it in any of the jars. So this here is present inside the catalog product management logic jar. Now the problem with jars is that you cannot see the code that's written inside. If I try to open it, you get it like this. So we are stuck. How do we get the code then? How will you know what JSP it returns? Correct? So to know that, WCS has provided a very beautiful reference documentation which is available on the internet. You can always go and refer it. So I'll just show it to you. How do we find that? So we go to our browser and we'll search not that. So the name of our command is, where is it? Category display CMD, right? So go here and type info center 7. Okay, so info center is the name of the information or the website that websphere commerce has provided the documentation. So search with the command name info center 7, and then you'll get a link something like this. So just open that. I think probably we'll have to search. Okay, I think the page is no more existing, I think.
You can search inside the website.
Yeah, looks like something wrong. Let's search. Search for the info center website. There is something wrong with the website right now. I think they are upgrading or something. Okay. So let's search for category display CMD, right? So category display CMD, you will find it here. All right. And I'll just open that in a new tab. And there is something called as category display URL as well. So we'll open both of them. Right. So you get, it's still loading. So you get details of the controller command here. So it's an interface. The category displayed CMD is an interface, and the implementation class for this interface is category display command AMPL, right? And you get more details about what this controller command does, right? So this command retrieves the configured display page of the specified category in the specified catalog, right? And it uses these tables to get the details and everything about the controller command. You can, anything that you want to know, you can get it from here. Okay, and then here this another link that I was opening will give you details about what JSPs are rendered and all those things. So you have actually the full list here. See, what they do is written here on the right hand side. This is taking a lot of time to open. Alright, so you get an idea, right, what I'm trying to say. So you can go to the info center and look for the command, and there you will also find the JSP that this command opens. So I know what JSP it opens, so that is why I'll directly go ahead and open it so that I can show you. So it's category display, spelling mistake. Stop. Nope. I think it's something else. It's not opening. Okay. Category display. So these are the parameters that are passed. So you have the details here as well. We are just looking for where it displays the view name, parameter values. Here, you see, it sets the category display view to display the category page that corresponds to the specific reference number and category reference number. Okay, so from the controller command that gets called by this URL, it returns something called as a category display view. Okay, so that's the name of the path that corresponds to the JSP that is returned. So what we'll do, we'll copy this. So it's category display view. So we'll go back here and search for category display view. there. So doesn't have any path, so it says root. So we search more. Why does the path say /? We're basically taking it to the root folder. It looks like that's the root folder. Here. So top category display JSP is the file that gets called.
How do you get that again, please?
Yeah, I think this mapping here is not present in this stars config file. It's present in different. So what I'll do, I'll just search for this, because you see this numbers here, right? These numbers belong to the store ID to which it belongs to. So our store ID is 10051, right? So for 10051, I found that there is no entries here actually. These are all different numbers. So what you can do is you can search in the other stars config files as well. So if I say stars config, so this one is where we were searching. So there are other stars config related to your stores project, right? This is related to stores but gift center, so this won't be relevant. This one again related to migration. This one can have some entries, so you can go here and search for that. So you should note at these numbers as well. So these numbers tell that this mapping is for specific to this store only. So we did not find any entry for that view here with 10051. So we'll just look into the other stars config file.
Can we try search inside the browser as well to see if that make it easier in this case?
Sorry, what?
Can you search inside the browser, like inspect elements, and see if that will make it easier for us?
You want me to open the stars config in the browser?
No. Just inspect element inside the browser and see what's the page that's directed to this. What's the JSP page? I mean,
that is what we are searching. No, that is what we are searching. That what JSP page belongs to this view. See, from here we got the name that category display is the name of the URL or the stars config entry that would be displaying this, right? So what you need to do, you need to search this in the stars config entry, correct?
Yeah.
So either you can open. Yeah.
I meant if you right click on the browser page and then you just try to find an element. Maybe it will give us like a suggestion which page is this.
Oh, you mean to search, inspect some element and then find it
inside the browser.
Okay, that is another way as well, but I don't have maybe Firebug or something. Can I inspect here in IE?
Yeah, I think you can do it.
Depends on what version of IE I have. Doesn't look like I can do it on this.
This is not your browser.
Older version, I guess. 6.
Yeah, that's older. Oh yeah,
that doesn't have it.
Yeah.
No problem. We'll do a search, right? So you see this, all this 1001. So 10051. That's here, but that's subcategory cat list display. So category display view.
I guess that is because we are in the default page, so that it doesn't show the GSP.
No, we are not in the default page. We are on the category page, you see?
Oh, that is okay.
We are on the category page. Basically, that's the default page. So for default page, the name is top categories.
Okay.
Right. And then when you go to some category, say office chairs, that becomes category 4. And if you go to your SEO mapper, so it's category display, right? So category display is what you need to find. The only thing is that why is it not giving the result? Category display is what we found, right? These are all different. Wait. And search for whole word. Search file. Case sensitive. I don't have option for whole word.
Okay. Maybe if you make it customized, and yeah.
No, that's something else, I guess. Okay, no problem. Forward, slash, and this is RFQ. Category only result display view. Category display view. The only relevant thing that I can see here is this. You see, the category display itself is mapped to category display command. So that's what we are seeing. And category display command, as we saw here, right? Category display command returns category display view, and category display view is what. So we should search for category display view. Why are we searching for category display only? Wait. File category display. That should be better. Okay. So 10051. That's the one we need to look for. But then why does it have a path like /?
Yeah. So does it mean that /?
No, there has to be some JSP, right? I mean,
yeah. I'm asking what is the / means here.
/ generally represent the root directory.
Yeah.
Right? So category display view. And then we go to global forwards. And then here also we search for category display view. Category display view. See?
Yeah.
Something is wrong. See, others have the entry. For these, I don't know. Something is wrong. Right?
Okay, let's take another example.
Yeah, we'll take another example. Let's not spend time with this. Something, see here again, product display again is / something wrong. Okay, so anyway, for footer, you can inspect element and find the by ID as well what JSP it is. So there are multiple ways of doing it. So whichever you find comfortable, you can do. So for example, say I'm taking this JSP top category display. Now all the JSPs that are created in WCS, they are all modular. By modular, what I mean is that though it looks like one JSP, these are created in parts. For example, the header that you see here is coming from a different JSP. The footer here is coming from a different JSP. This left side navigation is coming from different, and so on. So these are all coming from different JSPs. They are all bundled together with the help of a master JSP. All right. Now the footer as well is part of a separate JSP, and that probably comes from, if I say star footer, right? So it comes from cast footer display.jsp. So you can go to the one that belongs to Madison store. So you have the path here, see stores web content and the store name. So go and select the one that belongs to the Madison store. Madison store, right? Cast footer display. Open that. So that's the code for your footer and normal JSP code, as you can see. Right? And if you go in the bottom, it's basically including this text here. You see the footer wish list, footer my account, the customer service. So that's the text from where this is coming. Customer service, you see. So this is the text from where it's coming. All right. So what I can do, I can say change something here, say something like that, and I can delete the existing text from here, and I save it, and now I'll go and just refresh the page here, and that should get reflected.
No, because you deleted the
customer service text. Yeah, so this is what I wrote here.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like normal, like how you have been doing with your sample projects that we are trying to create, isn't it? It's similar to that. You go find the JSP, modify what you want to do. Somebody doesn't want the footer at all, so you can just go and delete all this content from here, isn't it? So everything is normal as you used to do in your Java JSP projects. Nothing different from that. All that is important here is how do you reach to the JSP that belongs to a particular area. Right? So one way is either you find that element by ID, you search for that ID for that element and you can reach there, or you can go through the URL. Sometimes it becomes a little tricky, like in this case we are still not able to find how this category 4 is coming, but then yeah, for most of the cases you will get it, because at the end of the day it's starts application and the flow has to come from the starts. So somewhere there is an entry, we are not able to figure it out, but there is an entry. Okay, it cannot directly open up a JSP, as we already know that servlet are the only web aware component. JSPs cannot be directly called from your browser. So
yeah, question here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for like an enterprise or e-commerce website, they don't want to see servlet and stuff like this. They want to see something like search friendly, right?
Yes. So
how
yeah, good question. So basically for that we do some mapping on our web server, right? So on the web server there is a HTTP conf file where you can define SEO friendly URLs for your URLs like this. Okay, so if somebody types those URL, it will come to the web server. Web server will map that URL to this URL. So internally, application server understand this URL only. It won't understand anything else. Now what web server do is that they convert the SEO friendly URLs into this URL and then make the call to the application server. And then when the application server returns the response, it converts it back to the other form and give it back. So you need to do a small setting on the web server for this.
Okay.
All right. So, but there are small tweaks that you can do in WCS as well. For example, if you can reduce the length of this. For example, the path that you see there is the context path that you define in your stores, the web project. So if you go to the properties of the stores project, say properties, and you go to web project settings, you see the context root, web app WCS stores. So the text that you see here, web app WCS stores, this end, this thing is coming from the context path that you have defined here for your stores project. So you can modify it here. You can give some small name which might look SEO friendly or more user friendly. So that's one option. However, the best option is to do it on the web server. It will remove everything. But then if you want to make it shorter, you can make the change over here. That's one way. And for this servlet, basically, right? So this servlet is the name of the servlet, right? So it's coming from your web.xml, the name of the servlet that we gave. So you can even change the name of the servlet to some user-friendly name, so that user don't feel it that you're calling a servlet or something like that. But if you want to remove completely, then the web server is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's about few stuff that you can do related to presentation layer on your sample store. So what you can do, you can play around a little bit, try to modify things here. Say you go to the product page, right? And then try to change things over there just to get an idea about the JSPs, the structure, how you can navigate from one JSP to another, how to find different elements. So once you get the copy of SPO Commerce with you, I would recommend that you play around with this, because most of the things that as a developer that we'll be doing is customizing things. Everything is already out of the box. So for customization, a good knowledge of the flow, the JSP, the pages is very important. Okay. So any queries?
No.
All right. So what we can do, we can wrap up the session for today then with this discussion, and maybe tomorrow we'll start. I'll show you how to create a JSP, a view basically, and the controller command and task commands. So creating a JSP is as simple as this, but then after creating a JSP, you need to do a couple of other configurational changes as well, so that this JSP becomes the part of your WebSphere Commerce architecture. It's not like normal web applications where you create a JSP and it's ready to use. You can directly go and type the name of the JSP in the URL and it starts running. Here it won't work because there is a access control framework in between which stops your web pages to be directly accessed from the browser, right? So there is an access control framework which controls who can access what content from your application, right? So unless you make an entry of this JSP or register this JSP with the access control framework, you won't be able to access it, right? So we'll see how we do those in tomorrow's session.
Okay. And one more question. So did you install the WebSphere Commerce from the IBM website? Right?
Yes, I have installed. So the packages you need to download from there. And
we got access to IBM. Sunny sent us like registration link and username for IBM Commerce. So should we install from there?
So you need to first download the packages from there onto your local system, right? And once you have downloaded, then you need to start the installation. So once you start the installation, it will again connect to IBM website and download all the necessary jars. But the basic set of files you need to download and then trigger the installation from your local machine.
Okay.
So has he also given you some steps how you can, what all packages you need to download?
No, just the registration for the IBM.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what are you going to download then?
I'm not sure. I'm just asking you what the projects we need to install.
Okay, so basically there are a couple of packages that you need to download from there. I don't know what registration link here. Can you show it to me? What link he has given to you?
Yep. Uh, can you give
Okay.
me-
Let me make you the presenter. Okay, you are the presenter
Okay.
now.
Yeah. So I have I registered to the IBM website, and I can go and see what I have here, like the product, download, support. I can do pretty much everything here.
Yeah, so under products, do you have WebSphere Commerce?
I think so. Yeah, websphere commerce. This one.
No, that's WebSphere integration and optimization. That's not WebSphere Commerce. Downloads.
Maybe in download. What? Developer tools. Should be developer tools.
Doesn't look like.
Mm-hmm.
Just search here in the box on the search box on the top.
No, I think I'm in the wrong page. I should go here because that is the training. Okay, let's try this. Sure.
That's application server.
The application server. This one?
No, 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 no. You need to see for WebSphere Commerce. It should be written WebSphere Commerce.
This is here.
Scroll down. No, no.
Never mind, I will talk with them and
Yeah,
see
yeah,
how
yeah.
we can.
Commerce
Yeah.
Enterprise. You see, it went up.
Uh,
Where is it?
yeah,
You have
this one.
WebSphere Commerce Professional. Yeah, Enterprise. That's the Enterprise version. So there. And
Okay, download it.
do you have the download link here?
Yeah. Okay.
These are this demo, I guess.
Yeah, all demo.
I
Okay,
don't
I
think you
can.
have a. On the right hand side, you have an option to request purchase. You see, chat now, request a code, view US price and buy things like that.
Yeah, so maybe I don't have the full access to download that. Never
Yeah.
mind. Yeah, I will ask Sunny how we can get that.
Alright, yeah. So you can just download this WebSphere Commerce Enterprise, and once you have downloaded, if I'll help you with what you need to do for installation.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right then. Thank you, and we'll connect tomorrow, and we'll see how we create or register our JSPs to the access control framework of WebSphere Commerce and the other stuff.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.